next speaker comes from India, CEO of Niter Infotech. He claims that digital transformation is a journey, not a destination. So nice welcome to Sanjeev Fadnavis. Hello, is Mr. Sanjeev with us?
Can you hear me loud and clear?
We can hear you. And now we can see you. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Anita. Thank you so much for inviting us. I have to start by also thanking Dr. Bernardo for letting us present our digital transformation journey and what we are doing as an industry. Before I go forward, I must thank for very good points brought in by Professor Nico and Professor Andres. You picked up some very 2 or 3 nice points. I'm going to relate them with our presentation. Niter is a 14-year-old organization, and we've been helping organizations transform their help them transformation in digitalization roadmap, and have worked and helped more than 150 organizations till now, small and large put together. The presentation today is an outcome and a result of a 2 years research that we have been doing with over 100 companies in India, and sharing their appetite, sharing their methodologies, sharing their successes and challenges while implementing digitalization in the organization. I did present this to CII in India, where Dr. Bernardo has also been an esteemed speaker. And when I last time met him, he said that this sharing of this information will be valuable on a global scale, particularly the SME sector. And that's why I thought I will put it this way. So one thing that we realized that digital strategy is not about automating process. It is not about introducing new technologies. It's about making choices. And that's what we realized having talked to people. They have so many things to do. They get so many information to look at. And what makes difficult is what choice they can make so that their digital strategy and the expected outcomes impact the organization performance. Professor Andres, you really brought in a very nice point, new business models. It's so true and so important that we cannot say what worked in past will work in future. We have to be constantly aware about making business models, making choices to select new business models. And I also appreciate the fact that education and industry have to really work hand in hand together. I've been a researcher as well, so I really can appreciate the fact that this collaboration is so important. So before going into digitalization discussion, I want to share some of the key observations from the research, the last 2 years research we did with more than 100 companies. And they're very interesting observations we have, and these are globally truthful facts as well. That forces, what are the forces driving transformation? So 23% of the organizations are making fundamental changes in the way of doing business by cultivating culture of risk-taking, innovation, collaboration. 15% of the organizations actually have the ability to ramp up the digital experiments by embracing failures. 60% of the organizations have the required data as a fundamental component. Professor Nico, one of your slides presented a whole IoT ecosystem wherein you have also used edge analytics and a lot of data coming out from machines and components. And then you talked about the big data and the cloud. It's so true that there's a lot of data being generated, but how to use that data, how to have a well-transformed, advanced transformation by treating their own data as a corporate asset. And I'm really, that's where we need to make the difference that only 3% of the companies have this ability to transform that data into meaningful corporate asset. And this is where I would say that industries, SMEs, have to really focus on. They know that they have an asset with such data sitting there. It could be in a current form, or they would invest into machines and equipments which will make digital data available. How do you make it your corporate asset? I think that's one big observation we had. Another 34% of the companies are reshifting to focus fully adopted digital strategies and experience with 12 months or less. Anita, you asked question regarding the pandemic how has pandemic affected the digital investments of organizations. I can tell you that most of the companies in the manufacturing segment, particularly the SMEs, the thing has been that a lot of SMEs who were not wanting to invest into digitalization have made decisions to invest, and those people who had, or those organizations who had decided a 5-year roadmap have brought it down to less than 1 year. So that has been the impact of digitalization. And as Professor Nico said, there has been an increase in adoption, and the increase in adoption has been because of these reasons. So lastly, the 28% of companies are voluntarily looking at developing the partner ecosystem by leveraging digital technology. They are investing internally themselves. They are leveraging partners like us to jumpstart the user adoption and making towards the detailed usage of digitalization. So what does, we've taken two perspectives here, a CEO's perspective and the CIO's perspective. My esteemed friends, in particular Nico, I think Professor Nico presented about the chief digital officers who are looking at things in the perspective. So what we are seeing is that today, if the digitalization has to make impact, the CEO has to be the champion. He cannot be the one who is getting driven. He is the one who has to drive. So 88% of the organization leaders are facing a challenge in running current business profitably while investing in future innovations or competition. So they are constantly juggling between the fact that, okay, this innovation investment will erode my profits. So what will I get across? And in that process, they are not making decisions. So first thing, observation, recommendations, we said that from a CEO's perspective, you have to choose between run versus innovate. You have to innovate, and then it will help you run. So which means that transformation of business models have to happen. 58% of the organizations are redefining. That goes back to Professor Andres, he said, of new business models. It's so true. It's a transformation. We change, we transform business models using digital technologies. And lastly, but most importantly, you have to make it a culture. If you don't make it a culture, however budgets you give for innovation, however transformation models you bring in, it would not succeed. So my request, like we implement ISO 10,000, ISO 20,000, or CMMI, or SSAE 18, whatever standards, make culture as an organization activity. Make it an activity organization and make it a culture, and encourage various leaders for creativity and innovation. These were the three important things. We felt it was very important from the digitalization perspective. If I see the Chief Digital Officer or Chief Information Officer's perspective, over 64% of the organizations considered omni-channel and personalized marketing and sales, right? To take their products to different landscapes. I'm going to, in the next slide, talk about it. But only the not so great news is only 17% of the organizations today have a multi-year roadmap. Most of the observation we had is somehow they wanted to do a quick fix job, and that's what people are doing. So we've said that it is very important to make this number from 17 to at least it has to go beyond 50-60%. And that's why we also have organizations who can help consult and take them to the next level. 52% of the organizations have identified the need to clean the IT landscape, which is very cluttered with too many things around. You don't need too many things. Every time technology was adopted, it is continued because we don't want to make changes. So take the daring step of removing certain things and move it. For example, like Professor Nico brought in, your data has to be on cloud. Please adopt cloud, make cloud adoption the key. You can't keep increasing servers and racks and spaces and everything. As he rightly said, the 30,000 square meter, the whole big factory with double the production was done. It's only possible if you move your information and data to the next level. So what do we propose, right? And this is what we propose. This is a digital model that we created. We've on one side is value creation, other side is value delivery. So what is the value creation? Is on the we do how by working with partners, creating key activities, and building resources. And value capture is done by the cost, keeping the cost structure in view. Um, and how is the value delivery happening? It is with stakeholder relationships, different channels. I talked about omni-channel movement and stakeholder segmentations. We look at stakeholders, segment them into what they are capable of. And that's why the revenue streams, when you capture the value, revenue streams today are free as a in three ways. One is free data, subscription-based data, and frictionless microtransactions. At this point in time, I want to also tell you all is that the observation has been that 20 to 30% of the business today will get converted from products to services. And hear me out very, I will repeat again, and if anybody has questions, I can separately clarify. 20 to 30% of the business will translate their products into services, which means, let us say, as an example, we would a crane manufacturing company. I know of a company, Kone Cranes. They, along with selling cranes, they are also providing now cranes as a service to their customers. So customers don't have to buy crane now; they can book the crane for a period of 2 months, enough time they need, and they only take that service. So all manufacturing products are going to undergo the model of providing their products as a service. And that is the reason why it's very important that we must be digitally ready. Otherwise, we are looking for staring ahead of reduction of that business or loss of increase of that business, right? I hope it is making sense. Any questions on this? I'm very happy to share because this has been a very, very important observation from our research. So what it means is that what type of choices I make is, do I have the right ecosystem? Do I have the right resources? Do I have the right plan? When I say ecosystem, we spoke about the CEO driving it as a culture, setting up vision and targets, and moving up the value chain. When I say resources, am I investing in the right technology? Am I getting the budgets? And like I said in my cost model, it has to be revenue oriented. It has to be cost structured but revenue oriented, and different type of revenue streams have to be captured. And then, very important, do I have a plan? I hope we are not like we don't do short-sighted. We do multi-year plans. We benchmark. We do KPIs. We do fail-fast approach. But we move from as is state to a digital ready, embracing the new technologies, embracing the new business models, and moving forward. I think that was the second part, and that's why it has to be top-down approach. The leaders have to be aligned. We have to empower the innovators. We have to establish the doers and engage the users. So these have been, I think, this vision is not about just telling people, but also alignment, empowerment, and making the doers get it done, and overall engage the users in the ecosystem. And that's why, again, I'm relating back to culture. Unless you do this, the culture development doesn't happen. There's a sample, example I took about just for a moving part. What are key matrices? How to define it? How the past data is taken? How the present data is nurtured? And what is the future process? And how the data in future will work on? So we are talking of future, which is possibility, potential. In the present, we are talking of risks and trends. And from we are going to past, we are going to take what we learned in the past, right? I think this is the way these KPIs, when the digital ready ecosystem is made, will have to be brought through. So if I have to, we were asked to give recommendation to the government of India as to what needs to be done, in what, where should they give incentives to industry. So the incentives were focused on developing the ecosystem, not the singular model. It has to be by a multimodal model where the investment is innovation while focusing on the current model. So what type of innovation is done? A strong data strategy. Everybody has to have a data strategy so that the information can easily be shared. Of course, the relevant was not all of that, so that government can invest more and more to make it more productive. And a top-down approach, like I shared with you, where it becomes a culture, right? On a concluding note, I would be I'm very happy to say that as the digital economy is taking shape, the role of leaders in moving from talent leaders to people who take ownership of roadmaps and not just become a part of it by engaging the right talent and partners to harness the full power of digital technology and rethink in every aspect of organization. It's okay even to say that I will change everything upside down. It's okay to say that because that will force us to look at things differently. With that, I think I come to conclusion of what I wanted to say from an industry perspective. We very much welcome the partnership with the government and with UNIDO. Of course, we are working, and also with the academia. We'll be more than happy to share more as we go forward. But thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be part of today's session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanjeev Fadnavis. It was a very interesting subject. I actually wrote down some of the things you have said about, digital strategy, making choices. That is the main thing. And if I understood correctly, consulting companies is okay, but just consulting is not enough. You also have to get the right technologies. That's so.
Absolutely, that's true. Absolutely right. And only investment consulting is not enough. Technology has to be along with that, so that you do a top-down approach from innovators to doers and the users.
Thank you very much.